Good morning, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for being here at the Tuesday Morning Breakfast Club. First, and before anything else, I would like to thank the Lincoln Eatery for this space. We always come here and we have delicious cafecito and croissant. And we have all this food court over here and this magnificent space. Thank you, Lincoln Eatery. Today we're going to have Omar Jimenez that is running for commission, and he's going to tell us a little bit about himself and the reason that he's running. Before we pass the mic to him, I would like to recognize some of the people in the room. Where did he go? We have Blake from the mayor's office, but he'll be right back. We have Ray from the Collins Park Neighborhood Association that is here this morning. Thank you, Ray. We have Matthew that is running also for commissioner, and he's going to be the next one talking in 2 weeks. Okay, there we go. Who did I miss? Robert. Since Mari is not here, Mari, she's sick. She's recovering from COVID, and it wouldn't be good for her to be here. So Robert is running for commissioner. He's behind the camera. He's helping me out. Thank you, Robert. If you could get the camera and turn to yourself and to the one behind you. There you go. Thank you, Blake, for being here representing the mayor. He's always, every week, he's here with us. Thank you very much. And without further ado, I give you myself. Thank you all.
Thank you, Valerie. Good morning, buenos días a todos. Thank you for joining us this morning, and thank you for joining us on this very special day here for the Tuesday Morning Breakfast Club. Over the last number of years, I've been to many of these breakfast clubs, so it's actually a huge honor for me to actually be standing here presenting today after so many years of dreaming of this moment. I hope you all had a great rest for Labor Weekend, and I can tell you, I've spent the last week canvassing up and down, knocking on doors, making phone calls, and it's been non-stop in preparation for this big week that we're in now, because it's not only qualifiers week at the city, but we have the Tuesday Morning Breakfast Club, and I also have my SOBI kickoff event on Thursday, and then on Friday we have our first candidate forum with SOBI West. So it's a really, really big week, back-to-back events. As Valerie said, my name is Omar Jimenez, and I'm your one and only candidate in Group 1 for the City of Miami Beach Commission. Over the next 20 minutes, I'm going to share with you my platform as a resident, as your neighbor, as an environmentalist, as an activist, a community activist and leader that I've been doing for the last 5 years. I truly hope that my platform and my ideas will resound with you, and that we can share some of the work that I've done over the last 5 years so that you get to know me a little bit better today. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you'll have at the end of my presentation. So, the first thing I want to say is I'm not a politician. I'm just your local community activist. I'm a small business owner, and as we said, I've been trying to be a community leader for the last number of years. I've poured my heart and my soul into our community, together with my family and our family restaurant that we've operated here in South Beach for the past 20 years. And my dad is here today, Juan Carlos. Bayapua, we're on 1659 Washington Avenue, just north of Lincoln. So there's actually a really cool story that I want to share with you all before I get into my actual story. And that's that over the weekend, as I said, I've been really busy, and I was quite tired on one of the nights, and I said, I'm not going to go out, I'm just going to order some takeout tonight. So I ordered some Chinese food. And as I was munching on my fried rice and lo mein, I decided to open my fortune cookie, obviously. And so I opened my fortune cookie and I was like, wow, I almost lost it because the message on the fortune cookie said, Tuesday is a day of abundant opportunity and favorable circumstances. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, this is not just any fortune cookie. This is another subtle sign from God. It's a subtle sign that one of many that I've been receiving along this journey so far. And it really pushes me forward. It gives me the motivation, the inspiration, knowing that I'm on the right track. That he trusts in me and he believes in my mission, this incredibly important mission that we're on together. I'm a man of great faith, and I believe that regardless of our shared faiths and different religions we have in this city, if we connect and we open our hearts, together we can achieve really, truly great things together over the next 4 years. Now that I got the story out of the way, I want to share with you a little bit more about me. So, I'm a Cuban-born, Cuban-American. I was born in Cuba, in the countryside, in Cruces, which is part of the Cienfuegos province.
Very close from Cienfuegos.
Yeah.
Yeah, very close.
So my family's actually from Cruces and Cienfuegos. I was born to a Cuban dad and a Ukrainian mom. So my mom is full Ukrainian. She's a small, 5'2" lady, green eyes. And we left Cuba when it got really tough in the mid-90s, during the special period. We were on an airplane that was on its way to my mom's homeland in the Ukraine. And the plane stopped over in Shannon, in the west of Ireland. And my dad looked out the window and he said, wow, this is really beautiful, it's really green, and it's fall, so it's actually frozen in the Ukraine already. So I think we're going to stay here. And we sought refugee status in Ireland, where I grew up. I lived for almost 20 years of my life. I had all my education in Ireland, and it was probably one of the best things that our parents could have done for us. 2004, my family decided to come to South Florida on a family vacation. And as many of us in this room, we just fell in love with the vibrant life, the colorful everything, you know, here in South Florida, the all year round weather, and of course our beautiful beaches. So in 2005, we actually opened what would be our second Bella Cuba, because we had the first Cuban restaurant in the history of Ireland that we opened after a few years being there. And then in 2005, we opened Bella Cuba here on Washington Avenue, where we've been for the past 20 years. Yes, I have a brother and my cousin that grew up with us, and I call her my sister also. She lives in Ireland. My brother lives here. I'm running this campaign clean, fair, and square. I'm not running with PACs. I'm not doing special interests. I'm not being funded by special lobby groups. And that's something that's really important to me, because this campaign is not just about me, but it's about the residents. It's about the community and those that I feel have been left behind or forgotten over the last number of years in this community. During my early years in South Beach, I lived on 12th and Euclid at first, in a small townhome there. And then I moved closer to the restaurant, literally 2 blocks away at the Deco Plaza on Lincoln Road, oceanfront. I loved my life on South Beach, and running the restaurant was, you know, a 6-7 day a week affair. I had barely any time off, so I really needed as much energy as I could conserve, so it was nice to be so close and that I could walk everywhere on South Beach. I've not just operated Bella Cuba full-time for the last 10 years, 12 years since I started operating here, but I've also run many and operated many other tourism and hospitality and industry businesses in South Beach, Mid Beach, and now in North Beach where I live. In 2022, we were honored to receive the City of Miami Beach Hispanic Heritage Award for Business of the Year. And in May of this year, our family was honored by the City of Miami Beach Commission with a special recognition for 20 years in South Beach and one of the 3 oldest Cuban restaurants remaining to date in Miami Beach. In 2016, I had my fun in South Beach and I was maturing a little bit in my Miami Beach life, so I decided to move to North Beach, where I live today. I moved to North Beach in anticipation of the Novi Master Plan and the incredible plan changes that were coming to North Beach at that moment in time. And it all started in a very funny way, because one day I was giving one of our kitchen workers at the restaurant a ride home. And she lived in North Beach at the time on 73rd Street, right across from North Shore Park. And so I parked up the car right there beside North Shore Park, and it was dark, the street lights were broken, North Shore Park hadn't been renovated yet, there was a few shady characters around, and I felt like a scary vibe, a little bit of a scary vibe in the air, and I said to myself, this is absolutely perfect. I'm moving here ASAP. And that's what I did. The next day, I called all my family and friends and I said, wow, I can't believe that there is an area in Miami Beach that is still so depressed and neglected, and I really feel like I found my new home. So soon after, I started looking around for properties online, and I was fortunate enough to find my first townhome, my first home ever, on Parkview Island on 73rd Street. So after a few years of getting to know my neighborhood, I realized that we had some serious underlying issues and we were underrepresented at City Hall. So I said, why not? I have plenty of time on my hands. I'm gonna establish Miami Beach's first sustainable neighborhood association in North Beach, which I call the Parkview Island Sustainable Neighborhood Association. And in 2019, as the boundaries for the North Beach CRA were being confirmed, I launched my first advocacy campaign for inclusion of Parkview Island in the North Beach CRA boundary. Community redevelopment agencies are really supposed to help those neighborhoods most in need. So I just couldn't believe that one of the most blighted neighborhoods in all of Miami Beach was being left out of one of the most important investment projects in the history of our city. As founding president of the Parkview Island Sustainable Association, I was just right on time, because that same year we had one of the most devastating environmental disasters I think that has happened in the history of this city. When over 1.6 million gallons of raw sewage went directly into our waterways, not only here in Miami Beach, but also in Biscayne Bay, because of a rupture, of a series of ruptures of sewer lines all the way from Lincoln Road to North Beach. The pollution caused many devastating effects on our neighborhood. It caused the closure of the Parkview Kayak Launch, which was a great amenity to the entire North Shore and North Beach neighborhood. And it also caused for the city to enact a no contact with water advisory that is still active today and has not been lifted once in the past 5 years, in over 5 years. This is really devastating, not only to me, but my neighbors, to everybody in Miami Beach, because this is why we moved here. Miami Beach, our beautiful beaches, our pristine waterways for safe recreation are not just why we moved here and why we call this place home, but why millions of visitors from around the world visit our city every year. It's our bread and butter, and we've got to defend that every single day. I've also been left with scars, unfortunately, on my body that will remain there forever from the bacterial infections that I got from recreating these waters over the last number of years. And one of my friends that was my neighbor and friend on Parkview Island, who used to recreate with me and go kayaking and just use the waterways around our homes, fell really ill actually, and he was in hospital for 10 days, 3 of which he spent in the ICU under experimental antibiotic treatment because the bacteria colonized his body at such a quick pace that they weren't able to get it under control. He was left with huge holes and scars due to the infection on his skin. Obviously, he's much better today, but when you really think about it, for a place like Miami Beach, this beautiful, luxurious paradise city that the grandfathers of Miami Beach created for us, to think that we're in this situation today is not just devastating, it's really upsetting, I think not just to me, but to a lot of us that are here today. And a lot of the people that have attended my cleanups and my community events over the years. So I couldn't stand by and do nothing. I quickly mobilized neighbors, friends, and we held our first cleanup in 2020. Our first community cleanup in 2020. To date, I'm really proud to say that we have held over 100 cleanups all over Miami Beach. We've provided local students with over 2,500 hours of certified community service hours, and we have picked up over 12,000 pounds of trash, not just from our community, but from our beaches and our coastlines. Through the Sustainable Neighborhood Association, we are also the hosts of the North Beach International Coastal Cleanup Day. I have personally hosted this cleanup the last 4 years, and this will be our 4th year on September 20th at 72nd Street, 9 a.m. Please join us. Last year I was also invited to be a speaker at the Biscayne Bay Marine Health Summit, where I gave a presentation titled Grassroots Advocacy, how a neighborhood association is paving a more sustainable future for its community. Last year was a big year for me. I also received the Ocean Conservancy's award for most engaged sites out of 80 sites in Miami-Dade, for my engagement of the community and my outstanding contribution to the International Coastal Cleanup Day. I'm not a politician, and as I said, I'm not here to make you promises of what I will do when I get elected, like the rest of the candidates. I'm here to share with you what I've already done and what I'm planning to do more of once you put your trust in me this November and elect me as your next commissioner for the city of Miami Beach in Group 1. I'm the only candidate in Group 1 that has already brought over $10 million in direct community benefits to our community through my advocacy and relentless work. I'm not here to talk about my opposition or any of the other opponents in my group because it is a busy group this year. There are a lot of us. So I'm just here to stand out and show you what I'm made of. While I've been knocking on doors for years, while I've been organizing community events, engaging my community, sending monthly newsletters, they're just getting started. Together with the City of Miami Beach, I was also part earlier this year of launching Operation Clean Water in collaboration with city officials, Commissioner's Office, and department directors. Through Operation Clean Water, we found something very disturbing. We found one of the biggest bacteria hotspots of Enterococcus bacteria in all of Miami-Dade County that was 3,440 times over the state limit for safe recreation and activity on the campus of Biscayne Beach Elementary School in North Beach. where almost 1,000 of our kids, thousands of our young generation spend their days. I just walked by there actually the other night because it's part of my walk. Biscayne Beach Elementary School is just right across, adjacent to the Parkview Canal and Parkview Island where I live. So it's part of my daily walk, and it gives me great pleasure to let you all know that right now the city is finalizing the relining of all of those broken sewer laterals and lines that were not only polluting the school grounds, but also continuously polluting the Parkview Island Canal and Biscayne Bay. I'm the only candidate that has made proposals to the city that have been sponsored by commissioners, and I have current projects on the city agenda in different stages, such as the Tatum Waterway Walkway. We're going to upgrade that walkway for public safety reasons. We're also going to turn it into North Beach's first nature trail. That's not just for North Beach, but it's a huge asset to the entire Miami Beach community when it comes to health and well-being and tourism and hospitality. Some of my other projects have included sewer relinings on Parkview Island and surrounding areas, completed footbridge handrail replacements, completed sidewalks, fully funded expansion of the North Beach Community Garden due to begin this fall. Earlier this year, we asked the city to provide us with just under $40,000 that was left over from another project in North Beach for the expansion of the North Beach Community Garden, because I believe that health and well-being are a big part of our future. I believe that the community garden, our kayak lodge, our waterways, all are part of a huge part of our future when it comes to a more socially connected community. I've also worked non-stop to get the city to create and fully fund, to the tune of $8 million, the Parkview Canal Water Quality Restoration Project. And that project is fully funded right now as we speak. We're literally waiting for the permitting and design for the dredging of the canal to take place, and that's all planned for Q4 of 2026. So for 5 years, I've worked relentlessly to ensure the full funding for the dredging, as I just mentioned, which will take place in 2026, and we will also have our stormwater system upgraded in part with the installation and retrofitting of the hydrodynamic separators. These are basically big vortexes which are going to catch a lot of the pollutants, the plastic, the debris that fall into the stormwater system from our streets, and anything that you can imagine that falls in there right now is falling directly into the canal. There's nothing stopping it from going straight into our canals and our waterways. Why is sewer and stormwater more important than ever today? It's more important than ever because of new developments that will come online over the next 5 to 10 years. They will put a lot of increased pressure and stress on our own already antiquated, old, and leaking sewer lines. That's why I have not stopped once over the past 5 years to make sure that we can get these upgrades done prior to these new developments being built. Because we know that once these projects are finished, they're not going to go back and fix what hasn't been done. We need to get it done now. For example, the Parkview Island Canal receives all of the stormwater from an 82-acre catchment area in North Beach. So it's not just about my neighborhood, it's not just about Parkview Island, it just tends to have that name because that's where all of the water flushes from all of North Beach. So you can imagine every time it rains, every time we have a storm event, all of the water that cleans out our streets and falls down through our storm drains ends up directly in the Parkview Canal. And that is what has been causing this high level of Enterococcus bacteria, of E. coli bacteria, and a couple of other serious bacteria that we have in the Parkview Canal. Because the sediments, every time it rains, every time water falls into the canal, it keeps gathering at the bottom of the canal. And year after year after year, you just have a sludge of this disgusting mess at the bottom of the canal. So that's why our kayak launch has been closed for 5 years. And that's why we need to dredge that canal as soon as possible so that no more of our neighbors and residents will get sick. On top of the leaking sewer lines, we have been polluting our waterways to a point where this June, Travel and Leisure magazine named us as one of the top 3 dirtiest beaches in the country. In the country. You can imagine the economic impact that that will have on our long-term economy. Because as I said before, tourism and hospitality is our bread and butter. We must defend our tourism industry and our hospitality industry every single day. Because without tourism and hospitality, and without property taxes, Miami Beach is nothing. It's simply unacceptable, it really is, to have some of our waterways here in Miami Beach be closed for over 5 years due to toxic bacteria. It's unacceptable that our residents, our friends, and our neighbors, and our visitors who come here to spend good money, perhaps are also getting sick and going back home and not knowing what the root or the cause of this is. That's why this has been a large part of my campaign, and it will continue to remain a top priority for me when I get elected in November. And you know, people ask me, Omar, why do you talk so much crap and trash? I said to them, you know, the answer is very simple. It's because we need over $100 million over the next few years to upgrade our sewer and stormwater systems in Miami Beach. And so, let's put it simply, we haven't raised impact fees in Miami Beach for over 30 years. New developments, new contracts for new developments have not been negotiated the way we need them to be so that we receive the right community benefits and we receive the correct impact fees that will fund all of these upgrades in our city instead of leaving us, the taxpayer, holding the bag at the end of the day. Instead, what I want to do is, I believe we should get these funds from higher impact fees, better negotiated development agreements, and greater community benefits from new developments to fund these upgrades, instead of reaching into our pockets every single time, raising our fees when it comes to utility billing, sewer and water, and higher taxes, because nobody wants that. We're already at the end of our tether, and we really can't go much further. Economic development has always been of great interest to me. I have operated, as I said, numerous hospitality and tourism businesses here in the city of Miami Beach. Up until filing to run for office, I was also a board member of the North Beach Community Redevelopment Agency Advisory Committee. As a small business owner, I will fight for not only small business, but I will fight for our legacy mom and pop businesses here in Miami Beach. Miami Beach has lost its way over the last number of years when it comes to small business. We've made it very difficult. We've made it unfriendly for people to want to come here, do business, and thrive in our community as they once used to. The 4 main priorities for my campaign are sewer and stormwater, tourism and hospitality, transit, mobility, and micro-mobility in our city, and responsible development. Because there's a big difference between building endless high-rises and building workforce housing that nobody can still afford anyway, because the rents are $2,500, $3,000 at the end for a studio or a one-bedroom. What we really need is to focus on affordable housing. We need to focus on affordable housing, and I live on one of the only working-class neighborhoods left in Miami Beach, in Parkview Island. So I have a lot of experience with that. We want to remain a working-class neighborhood, a middle-class neighborhood on Parkview Island and North Beach. And Parkview is already the perfect example of where we could look in the future for affordable housing in our city. I've heard many complaints on my campaign trail so far. Many people talk about our dirty trolleys, how inadequate and uncomfortable they are, how much better they could be, how we don't have a great last mile transit system here in the city because we don't have a tram system, and we also have these beautiful freebies, but they take an hour, maybe an hour and 20 minutes to pick us up sometimes. So we should look outside of our city for better micro-mobility solutions, such as, for example, in Boca, there's a company that's doing autonomous last mile, autonomous routes from your home to your destination, without keeping you outdoors in the sweltering heat, without having you wait an hour and 20 minutes to be picked up. There's so many great things that we can do in this city together. And I truly believe that when you elect me in November 4th as your next City of Miami Beach Commissioner, I will do the best, not only the best, but I will work the hardest that I've ever worked. Harder than I've worked over the last 5 years to make sure that I can improve our quality of life, that I can improve our transit and mobility, that I can be a champion for small business, and that I can help upgrade our sewer and stormwater infrastructure, because we need to fix these problems if we want to live in this beautiful, luxurious paradise city that our grandfathers imagined for us. So thank you very much for joining me today. I really appreciate you coming. I thank everybody. A lot of new faces here.
Yeah, I see a lot of new faces. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so let's get started with you.
Omar.
Okay, no, nobody wants the microphone. You know Maddie's here.
Maddie's not here today, but we need to honor
She's
her.
here in the spirit.
You are a prime example of why we should not have commissioners at large. We should demographic areas of more commissioners, because if you were running as a commissioner in North Beach, you would be a shoo-in to win. When you're representing the entire city, just like I represent Collins Park, I would choose not to run for commission because I've gone on record so many times of showing that I only care about my neighborhood, primarily.
Yep.
And I think that this is the direction that ultimately we should be going in the future, is figuring out how to separate out commission candidates so that we have defined areas like there is in any other city or in the county.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I want to respond to that for sure, because I definitely understand where you're coming from. But I think my platform is very clear. I am a very strong advocate for North Beach because that's where I live. And that's where I have lived and built my life over the last 8 years. But also, let's not forget that I am Mr. Hospitality, Tourism and Hospitality in South Beach. I have been for the last 20 years. I've been operating multiple businesses in South Beach, as I explained throughout my presentation. So when you really look at my platform, it's very clear. Because my platform is really all about tourism and hospitality, which is the bread and butter of our city, in South Beach. And then in North Beach, 5 years ago, I established my environment and sustainability platform from scratch. So why the two are deeply intertwined is because of what I said. If we don't have clean waterways and pristine beaches, then our economy is going to suffer long term. And our beaches are up and down Miami Beach. They're not just a part of South Beach, they're not just a part of Mid Beach or a part of North Beach, they're citywide. So we need a strong economy when it comes to tourism and hospitality. I have the experience as a small business owner, as a veteran of 20 years in the tourism and hospitality industry, citywide, and I'm also Mr. Canal Poop Water Guy.
I agree with you. Everybody, not just one voice.
Thank you, Omar. I like the platform, of course. I think it is important to add one more thing to your platform.
Yes.
And that is the residents. We have,
She can't talk any louder than that, so he will repeat the question.
yeah, we have a serious problem in the interaction of we, the residents, with the city.
Yes.
You go for a permit, it takes forever and a day. You go to the to get a mobilization, whatever it's called, for parking.
Yes.
I was there for 2 hours.
In the parking department.
In the parking, 2 hours standing up in an absurd line, because I mean the whole system is absurd. We have over 1,000 employees in Miami Beach, and it takes forever to get anything done in the city.
I agree.
And we are the residents, and we pay the taxes, and all of these things are very important.
Yes.
But I think the residents should have a break.
100%.
And
Basically, what she's saying is about permitting and parking permits.
Yeah.
That it
But
takes forever to get anything.
in
correct?
general, it takes forever to communicate, to get something from the city.
And that's,
Expedite
yep.
everything.
No, I couldn't agree more, honestly.
That should be part of the platform.
So yes, I have limited time obviously for my presentation, but when I first started the Parkview Island Sustainable Association, it was because I was writing emails and I wasn't getting responses from the city administration. And up to this day actually, I find it disgraceful that sometimes when you ask important questions or ask the harder questions to answer, you'll still not get responses, or you'll not get the responses that you need from City Hall. But on top of that, we have a $1 billion budget in this city. 60% of our budget annually goes towards municipal staffing, police, and fire and rescue. And so we're giving over $600 million to our municipal staff, which, as Marilyn correctly said, we have over 1,000 staff members in this city. And sometimes it takes businesses over 18 months to get a permit issued. And we really need to fix that. We cannot live in a city where businesses are paying, or residents are starting to open businesses here, and they're paying rent to a landlord for 12 months. They're going bankrupt before they can even open. And that is a big, big issue. that we have.
Moves to 5 years.
Yes.
5 years to get open. Okay, next question.
Hello, Mr. Omar. As a taxpayer myself and an undecided voter, most importantly, I conduct a lot of research on the candidates because this is a vacancy.
Yes.
There's multiple candidates. Upon looking you up, I found that you were arrested in 2021 for domestic, and a stay-away order was issued. For me and other voters that are concerned about your criminal history, can you make us feel better about that?
Well, first of all, I'm not going to answer that question, but what I will say, hold on.
Actually, it's important that you address
I'm going to.
yes,
I'm going to.
all of them.
So, I just want to say, there's going to be a lot of mudslinging during this campaign. There's a lot of special interests that don't want me to be here, that don't want me to win. And I understand this gentleman's concerns because, let's say, we are not perfect in life. We all have different scenarios and different things that happen to us during our lives. But one thing I will say is that I have never, ever had a conviction on my record. I have had, let's say, a little run-in the past because I ran a restaurant in South Beach where you know it is high stress, high traffic, you're dealing with crazy situations all the time. And let me tell you something, it takes true blood, sweat, and tears to make not only business work in Miami Beach, but life work in Miami Beach. So anyone that has any concerns as to any of those questions that you may have, please give me a call directly. My number is 305-917-9677.
Okay, now Omar, it's important because here is this Tuesday morning breakfast. We get a really high audience, and you're gonna get some on the mail. You already know. And on the mail, people can't see your face. Most, you know, on the mail. When you get mail, you know, they're gonna, you know how it goes. We all have another thing. Here you have the opportunity to look at people, and they have the opportunity to see you. So use this opportunity so you can express. This is a very good opportunity. This was actually a good, we gave him a good opportunity to explain. You know, we had a conversation. I know, you told me.
So Valerie, let me just tell you something, okay? Because the first thing that I'm going to say is this is
because
also,
on the mail they can't see.
well, this is a great opportunity for the Breakfast Club also. Because I don't think that you've had this many new faces at the Breakfast Club in a long time. Okay? I have a large following. That I've amassed over the last number of years throughout this city. I have over 2,000 people on my monthly newsletter through the association, which I started with just 35 people, okay? Over the past 5 years, as I said, I've been the only candidate that has already been knocking on doors, that has already held numerous events from month to month to month, engaging the community, engaging with residents, giving our school kids over 2,500 hours of community service. So yes, like a lot of people will say a lot of things during election time, but the most important thing here is that I'm not making anybody any promises of what I will do. My platform is solely based of things that I already have done, projects that I have completed, projects that I have in the pipeline. And those are things that none of the other candidates in this group can tell you. All they can tell you is the promises and perhaps the empty promises of what they will do when they get elected. Because we know what happens when we have lobbyists, special interests, and all these PACs, groups, special interest money that is funding every single other candidate in my group. We know what happens. When they get elected, they don't work for you. They work and answer to those special interests in those groups. I will work for you every single day of my term.
Sorry.
Good morning, Omar.
Good morning, Tim. How are you?
Good, thank you. If you were elected, you will be taking over the commission seat that's currently occupied by Commissioner Gonzalez. And so I'm wondering, a couple of things that she's voted on recently that I was paying much attention to. I'm wondering how you might have voted were you on the commission when those things came out. And one of them is the controversy over the 6th Street community hall
For the-
versus turning it into a fire station, and the other one was the Doville project. So how would you have voted on those two?
By the way, today they're opening a lunch for the elderly over there. If anybody
It's
wants to-
reopening?
Reopening,
That's
yes,
very
yes,
good.
it's very important.
Yeah.
You guys should go stop by and support it.
As far as South Shore Community Center, I think it's a wonderful opportunity for the community. I think that it should have been reopened a long time ago. I think that it's an incredible building. It's a brutalist, Lapidus building. How could we let such a structure that's so important in our community go into disrepair, be abandoned for so many years? And especially when we have such a large senior population in that part of our city that could be serving many different services in that part of the community, from childcare to arts to the Surfrider Foundation. I heard many different uses that were proposed for the South Shore Community Center when it was first proposed for activation. So I would have voted the same as Kristen on that. And secondly, the Deauville redevelopment project, that's the easiest question here, because on June 27th, during the special Deauville Commission meeting, I actually was the candidate that stood up beside the Deauville developer on the podium, and I announced my candidacy for a city office during the live meeting. That's because I believe so strongly that we got such a bad deal on that project, that the city negotiated not only a terrible deal for that project, but we could have got the $100 million that we need to upgrade our sewer and stormwater infrastructure in North Beach directly from that project, instead of now having to bond and put our city and our future generations in debt. Instead of raising our utility billing over the next 5 years by 30%. Our water and sewer bill already went up 9% last year. And if we would have got that money from the Deauville project, we wouldn't be in this situation right now. So remember that, everyone. When your water and sewer bill goes up over the next 5 years every single year, you're gonna know why. And you're gonna know why I announced my candidacy during the special commission meeting.
Gary, no questions? Okay, I was worried for a second.
Let me see if I can remember.
I was like, okay, you're not there.
What do you think? You know, you're running on environmental things. What do you think the city is doing with its forced main, especially in North Beach, that seems to be under your influence, that seems to be causing environmental problems? You think it's overcapacity, or what's the problem, or does it need to be replaced totally?
Yes. So that's a great question, actually, because I've been working very closely with our Public Works Department over the last number of years to make sure that we can have our pump stations hardened, our force mains replaced, because a lot of them are old, they're not doing the job that they're supposed to be doing, and they're counterproductive at this point. Very good example that I will give you is that in Mid-Beach, for example, the 2 water towers and the pump station that are directly behind senior high, the high school right there, those two, that project was originally in 2020, I believe, supposed to cost $11 million for the upgrade of the water towers, for the force main, and the hardening of that pump station.
You don't mean water, you mean sewage, not sewage, I mean a water storage. So,
The water storage towers, and there's also a sewage pump station right there beside. So there's both. This is a rounded project that involves both sewer and potable water. And that project was originally supposed to cost $11 million to our taxpayers here in Miami Beach. Over the last 3 years, somehow, that project has tripled in price and is now costing us $44 million. $44 million because of contractor expenses that have gone up supposedly through negotiated agreements. Again, are we really negotiating the best agreements and finding the best contractors that we can for these projects so that we're not paying 3 times the value of what we were supposed to pay in 2020, just 3 or 4 years ago?
All right, the conversation you continue.
That's something that I'll have to look into once I get it.
Anybody else? A question? Then ask a question.
My dad wants me to say a few words in Spanish. Bueno, primeramente lo siento mucho que hablé en inglés todo el tiempo porque hay una audiencia muy grande en casa y para mí es muy importante siempre que ustedes sepan que mi corazón es 100% cubano. Yo soy cubanísimo y yo soy muy hispano.
Okay, one second. Any other questions? Yes. Question? Okay, just 1 second. You raised, just 1 second. He raised his hand before and I forgot.
Hey, how are you doing today,
Hey,
sir? Can you
how
hear
are
me
you?
all right?
Good.
Hey, so, I'm a recent graduate from Miami, pursuing law enforcement. I actually didn't know anything about what he just said. Like I said, I'm undecided as well. I'm really trying to figure out if I should be pursuing you as a vote, as a candidate, or somebody else. Doing my research, though, I did also see that you got arrested within the past year for trespassing and what was it? Resisting a police officer. So I'm just trying to see, trying to get into this career field.
Yeah.
It's sort of concerning for me. I mean, do we have like a disrespect for law enforcement, or?
Sure.
I mean, if it's another thing too, it's trending, and it's sort of concerning.
I get you. So again, you should have done your research a little bit better because I was not arrested. Actually, what happened to me was that I was out walking with one of my neighbors and my dog at 8 p.m. in my neighborhood. And we went to the North Beach police substation, and we were in the parking lot of the North Beach substation with my dog, and all of a sudden a police officer approached us and asked us for ID. I did not have my ID on me, but I did offer the police officer my full name and date of birth, which under Florida law is more than enough if you're not being accused of committing a crime, as you should know because you're studying to be a police officer. So under Florida law, I complied with everything that was needed and required of me by the law. Now what the police officer did was actual police brutality and abuse. And he held me in handcuffs for no absolute reason for over 30 minutes. And that is something that I'm really glad you brought up actually, because that is something that I'm going to be making part of this platform. Because as I said earlier, we provide over $600 million to our police department, fire and rescue, and our municipal employees to be treated with such disgraceful disrespect as a resident. I will definitely not have it. And when I get elected, I will not allow any of my constituents or my residents in this city to be treated that way.
Just 1 second, please. Excuse me, 1 second, please.
Omar, this is a national crisis. What are you going to do about the housing for the elderly? You know that nationwide is getting a group that is getting more homelessness at this time. And here in Miami Beach, it's a crisis.
Yeah, that's a very, very important question. The housing crisis in Miami Beach is not only a crisis for the seniors, but it's also a crisis for our Hispanic community, the low income class and the middle class workers in Miami Beach. And many of my friends over the last number of years have had to move out of Miami Beach because they can no longer afford to live here. And as you know, Armando, the seniors have always been a top priority for me. And I'm not just saying that because of this campaign or because of I'm paying some outreach lady to go into the senior home. No, I'm saying that because over the last number of years, I've done a lot of work and the seniors are truly my friends. I've created many programs, many volunteer opportunities for the seniors in this city. And I will continue to support the senior community as one of my most important priorities when I become elected.
Okay, so we got Beverly and then Lady and then
So we're going to one job, and I love the fact that you care about the seniors, but you know where my heart is.
Education.
So I know you must care about the children and the young people on Miami Beach, because that's really what we want, more families, more children, and I would like you to give us a view of what you have a vision for education.
Absolutely, and that's a question that, again, I think is really very important for the future of our city. Actually, last Wednesday, I attended the Quality Education Committee at the City of Miami Beach at City Hall, which Beverly is a chair or co-chair of? Co-chair. So I attended, they had a wonderful agenda. I was enlightened by the number of PTA moms, parents, teachers,
education staff from the county, everybody was there in one room, and they were discussing how important education is here in Miami Beach. Over the last number of years, I've heard firsthand from many of our budding residents, prospective residents that want to move to the city, and they've told me one thing: Omar, we want to move here, but we don't think that the schools in Miami Beach quite suffice to our needs. And so I think that we can definitely improve when it comes to education. For example, in Biscayne Beach Elementary School is slipping when it comes to enrollment numbers. And we're slipping all across the board in public schools, not only in Miami Beach, but across Miami-Dade County. And so I truly believe that we need to work hand in hand with the county, the school board, who are notoriously difficult to deal with. Because I've been dealing with this project on the Tatum Waterway Walkway to fix a few things at Biscayne Beach Elementary, because they have the highest bacteria pollution levels on their campus. And that's taken over a year. They don't prioritize anything. So if you can imagine that they don't prioritize the highest bacteria hotspot on their school grounds, they're not prioritizing maintenance, they're not prioritizing repairs, they're not prioritizing putting money into the education of their children. And actually one thing that I'm really, really proud of is that while I was a member of the North Beach Community Redevelopment Advisory Committee, I had the pleasure and the honor of voting for a $1.6 million expansion project for Biscayne Beach Elementary for the kids of that school to be able to have not only better education, but better facilities at the school, for an upgrade of their playground, their running track. And this is all not just going to be available to the students of the school, but it's also going to be available to the greater community. So when you talk about quality education, I'm all there, Beverly, you know that I am.
Omar, from time to time you have to think about the column that support the island of Miami Beach.
Yes.
The island of Miami Beach support for column that they have to keep in mind from time to time, but you remember what happened on the outside.
Yes.
This is very important.
I'm sorry, I missed, what do you mean by
So-
column?
The pilot.
Oh, okay.
The pilot that support the island.
Very important.
Very important.
Okay, so let me just this last one. Of course, my passion is the homeless. What is your vision, like Beverly, you know, this is the one of the most important problems. Safety and homelessness is they're the two biggest problems in Miami Beach. And as you know, I advocate to help the homeless to get off the streets and go to work, back to work and housing. How we have to plan or an idea on how to speed up the process. Miami Beach is a transient, so we help the people off the streets, but more comes from other cities, from other states. Do you have any
Yeah, absolutely, Dominic.
great
So,
idea?
unlike one of the other candidates in this group, I was watching their performance a couple of weeks ago. Unlike them, I do know that you've been involved with the homeless for many years. And, yeah, so one of the great stories that I have about Valerie is that one night when I was leaving the restaurant just after midnight on Washington, I seen this lady like crawling out of a car in the lane, Lincoln Lane South, and I was like, what is she doing? It's so late. She was handing out food in the lane to the homeless people. And that was when I first met Valerie, almost, I think, 15, 17 years ago. Valerie, you're an incredible resource for this community.
Talking to them to break the ice, to get them off the streets. I don't like to just give the fish. I like to teach them to get their own fish and go back to work.
Yeah, and we've worked with Valerie on many projects over the last year. It's like take part in homeless resource fairs. We just did one a couple of weeks ago. We also employ some of the homeless people that Valerie has helped rehabilitate through her projects in our restaurant over the last number of years also. the work that my family and I have done in this city over 20 years has really been about community and the labor of love. And we have been in the epicenter of South Beach, where we see the homeless population at work every single day, in action every single day, because we're right there off the corner of Lincoln and Washington. And so, you know, that's one of the big hot spots. And as I said, you know, I've worked on this homeless issue for many years. I know that it's a big issue that's on many of our residents' minds. And we don't want to become one of those cities in California. You know, we want to make sure that we protect our residents, that we protect our public, our safety, our public safety in this city. And I gotta admit, I think that, you know, we've done some great things over the last number of years when it comes to public safety, but there's still a lot more that we can do. And I also believe that as a city, we don't just provide, I think, over $10 million a year to the homeless community for homeless resources in Miami Beach, but we're actually per capita the city that provides the most amount of funding to the homeless in all of Miami-Dade County. We have just over, or maybe just under, 300 homeless people in Miami Beach. We're providing over $10 million to the homeless every single year. So do I think that we can use those resources in more creative ways? Yes. Do I think that we're not just going to rehabilitate the homeless by providing them short-term accommodation in Camilla's house and stuff like that? No. I think that we need to provide mental health services that will really help the homeless continue their lives and overcome those problems. Because most of the problems that the homeless community experience are because of family trauma, PTSD, and things that have happened to them throughout their lives. So coming from Europe, I know that we have a whole different approach to the homeless situation in Europe, and especially in Nordic countries and Scandinavian countries. So when I think about homelessness in Miami Beach, I definitely want to be a part of the solution, but I also want to employ a more human approach when it comes to wellness, mental well-being for the homeless community in our city.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you. And if Mari was here, she would let me do that. She would ask me to do that. I have my gala, I have a nonprofit. My gala is going to be on October 30th, the night before Halloween. And this year I'm focusing on mental health. So thank you for saying about mental health. Because mental health is an invisible disease. People don't see that, but it is, they need medication. It is a disease and we need to solve. We cannot expect a crazy person to make a sane decision of getting off the street, so we have to focus on that. And the city of Miami Beach has wonderful programs, and they work very hard, and we work hand on hand to get the homeless off the streets, but we need more and more and more, and we need innovative ideas. We need a magical one, and I don't know what it is. But please come to the gala. We're going to have also online auction. It's going to be a lot of fun. And so, thank you, Omar.
Thank you, Valerie. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Our next ceremony is going to be in 2 weeks, and Matthew is going to be our next speaker. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And again, thank you to Lincoln Eatery for providing the space. Yay! Yeah.